Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. We had a medium-sized selectmen's meeting this week. We had a bunch of announcements. I've been saying what the announcements are every week, so do I need to go through them?
Yeah.
All right, I'll say the most critical ones. We have a special town election coming up on November 28th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the high school, and this is a ballot question in connection with the new fire station. We need people to get out and vote.
Vote either way?
Well, I'm not really allowed to use public funds to advocate for a ballot question, so I'll leave it at that.
All right.
But please vote. Okay, what else do we do? We were supposed to have a hearing on what's called the tax allocation by classification. That's a bunch of words, but basically it's setting the tax rate for the year. However, there was some sort of technology snafu, and we had to postpone that hearing until the 29th of November. The board's also going to be setting the residential exemption, which is currently 20%, and they've talked about increasing it to 25, 30, nice. 35 even maybe. So that's something that might happen. We had a public hearing to consider expanding the senior citizen taxi discount, or senior citizen taxi rate, I should say. Long story short, the senior citizen rate is now $2 less than any of the fares. So if the fare to Wisconsin is, I'm making this number up, $25, the senior would pay $23.
So they're doing this to compete with Uber?
I think this proposal initially came from a senior citizen to the board. The Taxi Association was asked to come up with basically a recommendation, and this is what they came back with, and the board accepted it.
Okay, so, okay. As long as they're happy, right?
Who's they?
The Taxi Association was taking a cut. Did they seem...
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I wasn't there at the meeting. Did it...
Well, okay, this is the time for me to make another public service announcement.
Yes.
Selectmen's meeting starts at 6 o'clock. Even if you think your agenda item might not come up at 6 o'clock, you should be there. Because if you're late, sometimes your item already happens by the time you get there. So by the time, apparently, the taxi representatives got there, the hearing was over and done with. And one of them appeared to be fine with it, and the other did not. So my ongoing advice to people is get there when the meeting starts, because you never know what might happen.
It's like a fair. Look at it like this. Somebody wants you to pick them up in 10 minutes, you be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and what might...
pick them up in 20 minutes.
Right. What might also happen is sometimes, not often, but sometimes things happen prior to the meeting. Someone can't come, something gets postponed, like happened here. Things get moved out of order because somebody has to leave to go first. And if that happens and your item, say, maybe was early on, but you were late, so now you're going to have to sit through the whole meeting to get to your item. And that happened also on a different item. So I think the ongoing advice, again, is try to be on time, or else be prepared to sit through the consequences. Anyway, sorry, this keeps happening. I can't help it. Okay, so we also had a little bit of an overview of affordable housing education outreach information, and just I don't know what to title this. It was called Presentation of Affordable Housing Education Reference Document. So I think the thinking is that to sort of educate people on the island about affordable housing statistics and where we have it and what we have and stuff like that, it was meant to be that.
Where can we get that statistic, Libby? Where can you go to find out?
You can go to the town website, or you can email Tucker Holland. He's our housing specialist, tholland@nantucket-ma.gov.
It's funny you brought that up at lunch today.
I think we have a webpage about affordable housing.
At lunch today, we were talking about affordable housing, and once these two big projects are done, the Four Fairgrounds and the Glowacki area project, will we be almost at our 10%, are we supposed to be at 10%?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be closer, but we still won't be there yet.
Do we know what 10% of our
Yes,
housing is? What
we
is
do.
it? What-
Gino,
Oh.
it's not my exact area,
Yeah,
and if I could find it, but Tucker knows it off the top
all
of his
right,
head.
okay. He's
And
the guy.
Andrew too,
All right.
so. I'll try to get that for next time.
All right.
Or you could just interview Tucker, why don't you do that?
Well, I could actually call him and find out.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, it's readily available. The transportation planner, Mike Burns, was in giving an overview of the in-town bike path project. So we have some of it done from the end of Washington Street extension through the old railroad bed to Goose Pond Lane. And now we're in the planning stages of getting it out to the Rotary area. So we had an overview about that.
Where is that gonna go?
There-
Behind?
Well, there's a couple different thoughts. I think one thought is to go on the same side of the street, but out, and so eventually Marine Home Center is going to be a redo, and maybe it can go somewhere and work into that. I don't think well, maybe, I guess the other side of the street is a possibility too. That might be a little bit trickier. And then there sort of was a plan, I think, down and back, but I'm not quite sure. We
So they're
didn't
not
really
getting
get
this
into
done
that.
right away? Not
Well, it's
until-
not going to be tomorrow, that's for sure. It's not going to be next year either. But the board did say they really want to try to get this thing prioritized because they have a real strong goal of getting bikes and pedestrians in and out of town safely and in a bike path kind of a way. So they said try to prioritize it for fiscal '20. So we're going to be working on that. Okay, then we had a discussion about our island home. Now, I should have brought my notes with me, but this was a pretty lengthy discussion, and it was meant to be a discussion by board members about what do we think, what should we do, and with public input, and we did have some public input about it. So we talked about, the operation, the physical condition of the facility, the cost of the facility, the regulatory requirements, the staffing requirements, and all of these things are in and of themselves not very straightforward, they're complex. So we also talked a bit about if we're going to make improvements to the facility where it is now, then we're going to have to be prepared for some probably pretty significant cost and some kind of either phased or total relocation of residents while the work that's needed to be done is done. The board in the end said that, the board in the end said we should try to find a nursing home specialist who constructs nursing homes and perhaps advises on their operations and, things like that, to help advise us as to what it will take to do this. Have it where it is, what needs to be done, when does it need to be done, how would it be phased, how would the residents be dealt with, what are the options to relocate them or move them around while the construction is taking place, what sort of operational changes could there be, and also an analysis of the utilization of the beds. Beds being a cost sort of a term. The beds are reimbursed through the person in them. What sort of needs do they have? There's level 1 through 4. And the idea would be to look at what our utilization has been, how many level 1, 2, 3, and 4s do we have? What's that reimbursement rate? Does that have any impact on the layout of the facility? That kind of thing. That gets a bit technical. It's not very easy to explain, and I'm probably not doing that great of a job at it, but how many beds should we have? Right now, we have a facility that is licensed for 45 beds. However, we've just reduced them to 35, I think, or 40, I guess it is, 40. Because we're using less than 40 now. I think we have a census of about 35. So we have temporarily taken 5 beds out of service. And there are cost impacts to not taking them out of service. That's why we took them out of service. There's a per bed tax that we don't have to pay while they're not in service. So that was the reason for doing that.
Okay, so it looks like we are going to renovate.
It looks like we are moving down the road of figuring out how to renovate, yes.
All right. So if it comes back, whoever this person is, whoever the town chooses.
The consultant or the
consultant?
firm to help you.
All right, whatever they decide to do there, based on that information, that will determine how many beds
Well,
will be there.
they're going to analyze it and give us the information back, and perhaps with some recommendations, but it obviously isn't their decision, it's the town's
Oh,
decision.
sure. But we only have so much size that we can build on.
Exactly.
So there only can be so many beds anyway.
Correct.
So if, let's just arbitrarily say okay, we found 50 beds. You can do 50 beds on this spot. Down the road, after we renovate this, would it make sense? Could we have another facility somewhere else?
Okay, 50 beds, I can just tell you right now, that's not gonna work.
That's too many?
There's definitely not enough room there. We have 45 beds now and it's too small.
Oh, okay, all right.
But could there be a smaller facility with a limited number of, X level of beds, because that's the most utilized and that's what brings revenue in? Maybe.
I was being arbitrary about the number. It doesn't.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying down the road though, if we're gonna look at the long term of this and we're gonna renovate there, first we fix up what we have, then we look, or someone else does, or whatever.
Yeah, there was some discussion about the demographics and the changing demographics of the island, and will we need more skilled nursing beds in the foreseeable future?
I mean,
Maybe.
if there's only 45 beds and everybody wants a bed, at
Well-
some point, somebody's gonna have to go somewhere else.
Okay, but I think what we're hearing is that the trend is to keep people in their homes as long as possible through home health,
Yeah.
through people coming in to help. And that is a national, if not worldwide, trend. So that type of thing is happening more and more, so the demand for the beds
see.
it probably won't be like that. There's also been a steady reduction in skilled nursing beds in the state and probably the nation. There are fewer beds today than there were 10 or 20 years ago because of the reimbursement situation and because of this.
What do you mean the reimbursement?
The federal reimbursements for skilled nursing beds has gone down for institutional
they don't
model
give you-
beds.
they
They don't
don't
give you
give-
as much.
Got it.
And the reimbursement formulas are very complex. I mean, you practically need a master's degree to wade through all this stuff. And I admit right now, I barely know what I'm talking about right now. I'm
You
sort
did a
of,
pretty good job.
well, I'm
As far as
I'm
needs.
scratching the surface.
Yeah,
I
understand.
know.
So, yeah, a consultant comes in and we'll have more answers. When are we gonna have that person ready?
Well, we need to locate somebody like that, so Rachel and I are going to be trying to look for one. I have some thoughts about where
Okay.
to find them. I mean, it's not like you can, well, I guess I could Google nursing home consultants, which is probably one of the things that we'll do, but there's a lot of asking around as well.
Sure.
With other towns and facilities that might
Sure.
utilize a group like this. Plus, I think we have a very good resource with Kevin Comack, who's the executive director of Sherburne Commons, who's been a nursing home administrator before. He's got some contacts as well, so we'll probably work with him a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the discussion about the island home. We are not meeting next week, the 22nd. The board's meeting again on the 29th. That's a fifth Wednesday of the month. Normally, we don't meet the fifth Wednesday, but since we're not meeting next week, we are going to meet the fifth Wednesday. We're going to probably have some announcements there. We got a bunch of real estate. We also, at this time, we're going to have that continued tax rate hearing that I mentioned. We are going to get, town staff is going to give the board a little bit of an update about recent changes to the open meeting law. We're going to have some continued discussion and review of 2018 annual town meeting warrant articles. By that time, we will know what the citizen submittals are. They are due Monday the 20th. We're going to try to have a discussion about overnight commercial parking. And right now, looks like about it. There might be a couple of license things that come up. So those are some things that are happening at the board meeting. And in other town admin news or town government news, we are working on the budget. We're working on capital projects for the next fiscal year, and we're starting to put together the outline of the annual town meeting for 2018. And there's many other things happening, but we have employee appreciation evening today.
Okay.
So here's what happens. We have an event out at the VFW once a year. This is our 3rd year. And we have a nice buffet kind of a thing, and a little sort of employee photo slideshow, and there's some activities for kids. I think we're doing that again. And the big thing is we issue years of service pins. So the service pins are given out in 5-year increments. And so we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We have one 30-year person. We have 2 35-year people. And we have 2 41-year people. They should have gotten their pin last year, but oversight, so they're getting it this year.
When is this?
This is tonight, VFW, and there's going to be
there.
some...
What time?
Starts at 5, but you're not an employee.
Oh, that's true, I'm not.
I'll report out on it at the next
Why don't we make
show.
me an employee? That would be nice.
Would it?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I'd do this.
You would? Just go around and film what people...
No,
Well,
just you.
Oh, you could follow me around all
You could just get paid for
day?
this, and then I would be an employee.
Oh, that would be fun. Well, you could follow me around all day so that when people say, what does she do all day? Now we'll know.
Oh, yeah. So
This is what the pin looks
So I can't
like.
really show up. It's only for employees and relatives.
Fine, yeah. This is what the pin looks like.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
This is a 25-year pin here. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a 25er, huh?
Yeah, this is a 25er, even though I got the 25-year pin 4 years ago. Do the math.
Gosh, Libby.
I know.
You're kind of dating yourself
I
here.
know, I shouldn't have said that. I obviously
You look
started...
good, though.
Well, I obviously started working here when I was like 17.
Right.
What am I saying? More like 12. So
how
that's
long
what's
can
happening.
you work for the town? I mean, 40 years.
I don't...
You can just keep going?
well,
You'd think that people would say, after 30 I get retirement, so why don't I get out of here?
some people like working for the town, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And some people just, keep on going. Public safety people have a shelf life.
Hey, let me ask you just before we go,
By
a
law.
quick question about town employees and housing. Do we have an issue for our town employees? I mean, as bad
Yes.
as it is for others, is
Yes.
it as bad for town employees?
Yeah, I mean, why are they any different?
I don't know, because they have connections with the town, and the town can find places easier.
I wouldn't really say that.
All right.
Now, what I will say though is that we have been expending significantly more time and money on housing for our employees in the last couple of years than probably we ever have. I mean, we really try to find places or make contacts for people who
Right.
need housing.
I would think so.
And we've got a couple people right now who could really use housing, but there's some housing they just can't afford.
Are they waiting for these new places to be built?
I think some people maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
And these new places to be built would be for people like that. But it's
Yeah.
not just town employees, it's, your
Oh,
friends who work in
course.
restaurants and the
course.
service industry and
Yep.
wherever.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, I want to know that percentage of affordable housing. That, I mean,
Tucker
you're saying
will have
10%,
that.
but 10% of what number?
Yeah, Tucker
All right,
and Andrew have all
okay.
that. It's just, there's only so much I can
Andrew would have it too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
He's got it off the top of his head.
All right.
I just, there's only so many things, Gino, that I can retain at any one time.
Well,
I try to know it all,
wanna
but
be,
it's not possible.
you want to be the queen of Nantucket, this is what comes with the job.
Oh, no, there's somebody else that's that.
Oh, let me guess. No, I don't know who
There may be more than one person.
that queen is. All right.
You can think about that. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time.